Hi there, it's Sam from Pootles.co.uk. Thank you very much for joining me today. Today I have a very special project for you. It's a requested box by a lady called Val, who wanted me to make a box for her that would hold a votive candle, but a particular one. She's got some Yankee Candles votives, and she wanted a box that would hold one of those, and I wanted it to be that extra special. Now I know I've been asked quite a few times by people to make one that will hold two, and there will be a tutorial at some point in time, but this is for you, Val, and for anybody else who wants to know how to beautifully package one votive from Yankee Candles. So I'm going to slide off the ribbon band, and it opens and it does something slightly different. It is a semi-exploding box. Now I thought that explosions and flames and candles was just a level of irony too far for me, so it doesn't explode and pop open in that way. But if I tip it to the side, you can see that the candle sits in its own little mount and it folds back like that. So it's a little bit different, and I had fun coming up with this one, so I'm going to pop it to one side. Now to make this, you can make the whole thing from one sheet of 8.5 by 11 paper, or one sheet of A4, because when you cut down your card, this is standard A4 paper, you cut it down. And if I slide that up, these two pieces here are what you need. That's all you need. So it's very easy to get it from one sheet of A4, and exactly the same from an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, card even. Anyway, so the scoring would work with the big piece first, and you line it up with the 8-inch side. So, I'm sorry, the measurements of it is 9 inches by 6 inches, 24 centimetres by 16.5. So your long side at the top, you score it at 2, 4, 6 and 8 inches, which is slightly different for metrics, 5.5, 11, 16.5 and 22. And then you turn it round, so you've got the shorter side here at the top, and we need this shorter one at the top for a reason, because first you're going to score it at 2 inches and 4 inches, which is 5.5 and 11 centimetres, and you're just going to score all the way down, and then you're going to score at 1 inch to the second horizontal line. So 1 inch, which is 3.5 centimetres, and then you're going to score it at 5 inches to the second score line, which is 13 centimetres. So that's why you needed the short bit at the top, because that's what's going to give us this lip here, that section there. And while I've got this here, my other piece of card, which measures, what does it measure? I can't remember what it measures. It's meant to measure 5.5 by 2, and I've cut it wrong. Look, I've got my trimmer. I've got a spare piece here. It's meant to measure 5.5 inches by 2 inches. Oh, that was ridiculous to cut the wrong piece. There's plenty left over. See? So 5.5 inches by 2 inches, which is 5 by 14 centimetres. I'm looking at all these scribbled notes because I'm working with extra bits of card. So 5.5 inch side at the top, score it at 2 inches, 2.5, 4.5 and 5 inches. So your 14 by 5 centimetre piece, score it at 5, 6.5, 11.5 and 13. See, look, you can even make mistakes and have spare bits from a piece of card. Oh my goodness, right. Fold your score lines, and this is Pool Party Designer Series paper because we're working with a lovely Celebration one, Celebration DSP. Fold all your score lines. Ignore these half ones, obviously because we can't fold them anyway, but actually they're cut lines really more than anything. Let's fold the rest, and we'll do these ones while we're here. Just fold these. And then the parts that you cut for the box, we need to come into these ones here. So this section that I've cut these funny old shapes in, we don't need those two there that are on the left hand side, so we're going to get rid of those completely. So that one's gone, and then the same on the other side. That one's gone. Okay, then we're going to start cutting with this in the horizontal way. We're going to cut into the square and notch. and then the same on the opposite side. So these parts are going to curl round, and that's going to make this section here. This part, to make the explosion, or semi-explosion, I'm going to cut out all of those corners. So we're going to be, although this part is attached, we're going to imagine it's not there for the minute. And we're going to cut out all of these. And you're left with, again, pretending that, that the lid part wasn't there, you're left with a kind of a cross shape. Come into this one as well. So pretending that's not there, you're left with that shape, but obviously it is attached because that's that section. Oh look, I nearly got rid of my insert then. Let's move those pieces out of the way. So this kind of, not a lot gets stuck down to it. We're going to have some sticky strip on here that where have I put it? Over here. Let me find the end. So you want to keep this close to this score line here in the lid. And there's a reason why I'm not putting the designer series paper on now, because I would probably end up sticking it in the wrong place. So fold it round and form your lid. So that's the lid part made, and this is the bottom, and it will fold up like that, and that's your box. But obviously we want to, whoops, we want to put our candle in this part. So with your smaller sections here, they're going to stick down at the bottom. So this therefore is our top, and it is hiding in a hole formed with a label bracket punch. And I did this, I kind of came by this because all of the punches that I had were too small or too big, and this was the perfect size. So I'm just going to take a piece of scrap, if I can get hold of that. There you go, it's one of the bits I cut out before, because I want to make a sort of a template. So stick some snail on there and position it in the middle of where I want it to go. So that's now a template that I can cut around and know that my hole is in the right place for my candle to sit inside. And as you can see, it will only go that far. Oops. It won't go too far. Whereas the other punches, I did make my original prototype with one of the circle punches, and it actually slipped too high. So I ended up having to make this box with really high sides, and I couldn't actually make it from the leftover pieces of the A4 cardstock. So that's why I decided to go with this one. And I like it. I kind of like the fact that it's a different pattern. So fold those round and push that on, and then that will sit nicely, there's the box one, in there. So I'm going to have a little bit of liquid glue on the bottom of this, just to help for wibble factor. Little squodge there. Just position it into the middle of this part of the box. And just hold for a second, and then grab your candle. And I'm going to take this lovely Midsummer's Night one. I'm going to put, what's that one, Fluffy Towels, into there, and then the box will close up. And now at this point I'm going to put the designer series paper on, and so I've got this lovely pattern, this lovely one from Celebration, and Celebration is almost over, so get in quick if you want to buy, or if you want to get this for free. So this is free with a £45 spend, and there's 11 different things you can choose from. And you need for this 2 pieces that measure 1 3/4 by 1 3/4. And I forgot to write down the metric measurements. Let me grab my ruler. That's going to measure 5 by, you will want it to be 5 by 5, and then you will need 6 pieces that measure 1 3/4 by 3/4 of an inch, which is going to be 5 by 2. Yes, that's right, actually I'm looking at my notes. So 1 3/4 by 1 3/4, you need 2 of those, which is 5 by 5, and then you need 1 3/4 by 3/4, which is going to be 5 by 2 centimetres. And you need 6 of those. So this is why we needed to kind of build the box up first. So 1 on the lid, that'll be my phone. 1 on the back, because that's a full panel. And then these 6 come in these parts here. And like I say, if I'd tried to make this before I'd built the box up, I'd have been sticking stuff in all of the wrong places, and it just, well, it would have been fun and games. So just keep putting those all the way around. And then to finish, at the point that I was prepping this, I didn't know if I was going to put black buttons or pool party buttons, and if I was going to do black ribbon or pool party ribbon. And the more I'm looking at it, I think I'm going to go with the black. So this is the 1/8 of an inch taffeta ribbon. Actually, I need to put a knot in that because I'm going to do a tiny bit of stamping, and I've got the Happy Watercolour stamp set. I love it. I just think that is so pretty. It's lovely, and I love the font of the writing. I'm a real writing girl. So I've got this thank you, which is just so lush, and 1 of those, and look, the same punch, it fits straight across the middle. I was so chuffed with that when I found that. Oh, I was a happy girl. So let's bring in this bit so I can show you what I'm making. So I'm going to sponge the edges of this. So I've got my pool party sponge and the ink. Sponge around the edges of that. And then I'm going to punch some flowers, and again out of the bits of scrap I've got my Petite Petals punch. So I'm going to have 1 in pool party, whoops, and 1 in white. I'm going to sponge the edges of those. And because it's a whole floral thing going on in the paper, you know, you've got to have flowers. And then shall I have, I think we're going to have a black, yes, I'm going to have another black, I'm going to have the background of this in basic black. So again with the same punch, and I'm just going to offset layer them very slightly. So I've got a dimensional here. When you're offset layering, you put the dimensional onto the part that you're going to cover, rather than slap bang in the middle of the one that's going on top, and then you know you've got it positioned correctly. And actually, you know what, I'm not going to fight with baker's twine today. I'm just going to tie a knot in that, a bow even. Kind of a dodgy bow. We'll pretend it's pretty. Because this one is actually, this one is on baker's twine, but you don't want to be watching me fight with baker's twine and small holes. So I've got some basic black buttons. I've got my mini glue dots. So I shall have 1 on the back of that in the centre of that flower. 1 on the back of there in the centre of that flower. And actually I use the summer starfruit dahlias, whatever you want to call them, on this one, but you know, I like the buttons, and I like this black and pool party colourway. It's ever so pretty. And then where's the front of the box? So just into there, some mini glue dots all over the back of that, and tucked underneath. And then that is my prettily opening, we won't call it an explosion box, a prettily opening candle box to hold a Yankee Candle votive, or other brand votives. I'm sure there's others out there, and I think they're kind of all a similar size. So I hope you like this tutorial, and Val, I hope that you find it useful too. And as I said, I will have another tutorial coming soon that will show how to hold two, but in a different way. Thanks for joining me. Bye.